I think this might be less Christmassy than most non-Christmas movies. This could be just a wet Wednesday in July.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
We're here, Jamie. Welcome to Final Transmission, a weekly horror movie podcast featuring me, Sam Russo, and you, Jamie Carruthers. How you doing, bud?
Yep, it's Jamie Carruthers, for those who don't know.
Pronounced American Nervers.
Yeah. How are you doing, Sammy? Did you ask me how I was doing? Because I didn't listen if you did. Because you were too busy fucking my name up.
You swerved it. Like a pro. I'm doing fucking fantastic. I'll ask you one more time just to give you a chance. How are you, Jamie?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
I've got a Negroni. I've got a bottle of water. I've got a horrible French film to talk about.
How interesting. You're just already telling us how horrible you think it is.
I mean, so today we're talking about the 2007 film Inside, or Lynch.
Le Inside.
French.
It's a French film.
This is part of the new French Extremity movement. So, Bedfellows with our good friends Martyrs and a couple of other horrible times. And crucially, Sam, this film is set on Christmas Eve. So this kicks off a couple of weeks of Christmas cinematic offerings.
And what
to celebrate the season.
What a holly jolly ding dong this one was. I'm sure our listeners will be eagerly stuffing their stockings in excitement at the spectacle that they've just witnessed if they watched this movie before listening to this podcast, which, let's be honest, they probably shouldn't. Did this give you fuzzy Christmas feels, Jamie?
Yeah, I get so festive when I watch movies about people trying to cut babies out of people.
Yeah, this isn't very Christmassy. I'm just going to go ahead and maybe that's a spoiler alert for everyone. Just so you know, if you were snuggling up with some nog, some delicious warm nog, and your fuzzy little socks on, and your Christmas lights flashing, don't watch this.
But it's set on Christmas Eve, Sammy.
It's the single least Christmassy movie, even in the tangential universe of movies set on, in, or around Christmas. It is the least of all the Christmas cheer. Bottom of the table.
Yeah, you think so?
Not a Christmas movie.
Well,
it's not one of those Die Hard situations. It's just not very Christmassy.
I think it's very Christmassy.
It's a no-nog wonder.
In the way that it's set on Christmas Eve, and that's all that matters.
Christmas Eve in France.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Would you?
Never have, never will.
So, as we say, this film is called Inside, directed by Julien Moret and Alejandra Bustillo, who I guess might be Spanish.
Le Interior.
And it is, as I mentioned, part of the new French Extremity movement. So you kind of know what you're getting.
What is the new for just hypothetically? Imagine I'm an idiot and I just don't know. Just stretch your imagination to breaking point. What is the new French Extremière movement?
The new French Extremity movement was basically a movement in the early to mid 2000s in France of making really, really violently horrible films. Sort of kicked off by Irreversible, the Gaspar Noé film. And sort of most famously, the like Martyrs and this and Frontiers, the Xavier Gans movie.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what that is.
So
you've got a Freddy Krueger shirt on today, Sam. Are you channeling the child molester?
Yeah, channeling a dead peed. It's my vibe today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Ladies love it. The thing that you can't tell is I smell really good. I might look like shit, but holy crap. Undeniably smell good.
Well, so I'm the opposite. I look fantastic, but I smell
stink
like a
of shit.
hog's dick.
Smell like yak piss.
Yeah.
It's weird. I thought I was getting a waft through the airwaves.
So why don't you give us a synopsis, Sam? A little synopsis of Inside. You've had a few weeks off.
Fuck's sake. I don't think I can. I'll probably be sick. Okay. So there's this woman, right? Her name's Alison Paradise.
That's the actress's name, yeah?
I just wanted to say it because it's such a fucking stupid name.
I think it's
Sorry.
I think it's parody.
Yeah, but it just makes me think of Sammy Paradise from I Think You Should Leave, which is my favorite comedy sketch of all time. Anyway, she's Sarah, right? And she's a photojournalist.
Yes, correct.
And she's preggers. She's absolutely 100% Duff City. She's up.
Yeah.
And she has a horrible car accident in which her husband dies, but her baby doesn't. Okay? So what she does is she wanders off, wandering around France. And a few months later after this car crash, she is hanging out at her house on Christmas Eve when she is beset by an intruder, somebody who is keen to kill her and or extract and or parent or kill her baby. People die in the interim. There's a lot of cops involved, and things happen, bud. It's a nasty scene.
Yeah.
That's the plot, right? Nothing else is important in there.
No, I think that covers it nicely. Obviously,
Home
we'll get
invasion
into
shit.
some of the detail. Yeah, where it's home invasion. She's pregnant. We see quite a lot of shots of the unborn baby in her womb, which I am very keen to talk about. You can't make faces, Sam. This is a podcast.
I'm not. I imagine my discomfort is palpable, even without the benefit of seeing my very tired face. This film appeals to a very specific type of person, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Hello.
There he is. It has absolutely no appeal to another demographic of people.
Is that you?
And I would dare to venture there's probably not much of a middle ground, not a huge hinterland between those two camps, I would imagine.
Yeah, I
What are
can't
your
imagine
thoughts?
that there are people who are ambivalent about this film.
Yeah, it's not really much of a type of movie.
No, I don't think so.
I think you walk away with a strong opinion and a strong feeling,
I would say that's fair.
which is a good thing. A polarizing movie.
Yeah, shall we talk some non-spoilers to start with?
Yeah, I just think I spoiled it with the plot a little bit, but yeah. Sorry
Well,
about that
I
as
mean, that's the plot of the movie. It's fine. Obviously, this is a relatively recent film. We're talking 2007. It did come out, like I say, hot on the heels of Martyrs,
well.
and therefore has something to live up to, I think, in terms of like, obviously, we've talked about Martyrs. You had some strong feelings about it
Yeah.
one way, and I had some strong feelings about it maybe the other way. So go back and listen to that episode if you're interested in us talking about Martyrs. But
I might have to remember how I feel about it.
you didn't have a good time.
No, wasn't. Well, but I think it's safe to say I thought it was a well-made film.
I would say it's impossible to not.
Yeah.
But so obviously Inside has it's a high bar, I think, in terms of matching Martyrs. And I'm not massively sure if it quite succeeds or hits the same level.
I think apart from being French, these are just completely different movies. Like I understand the comparison. Obviously, it's the same movement, similar time frame. So,
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of thematic similarities, potentially some connective tissue that links the two. But I almost think it's unfair to put them next to each other for a bunch of reasons. But yeah, it doesn't even really feel like it's the same kind of movie to me.
I think it's obviously hyper-violent. There is a lot of very quite visceral gore.
Mm-hmm.
And those are obviously other things that it has in common with Martyrs. Inside has less sort of lofty ambitions in terms of its messaging, I think.
Oh boy, yes. Nail on the head. That's My main differential here is that Martyrs is trying to do more than gore. It's using gore as a device to freak you the fuck out about humans and the destination of your soul and things like that. I don't necessarily think L'Intérieur is doing that overtly or in a way that I noticed.
I mean, we've talked about how I don't really get scared watching films.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get scared after watching a film and I have to go into my garden or go out of the house for a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And living alone after, and sort of just sitting after this film finished, did spook me a little bit.
You got the willies.
I got the heebies, yeah.
Oh, what about the GBs? You get those after?
Yeah, they came directly afterwards, to be fair.
Whoa, you had a full-on heebie-jeebie, if you will.
Yeah.
Wow. After this, of all things.
I mean, this is a thing that happens sometimes. I remember it happening after I watched The Happening, the M. Night Shyamalan film where the wind is the enemy. The wind in the trees is like basically how we visualize the bad thing that's happening in that movie, apart from the movie itself. And I remember just like being outside afterwards and just watching a tree sort of sway in the wind and being like, oh, yeah, that's like in the movie. I could be dead.
Yeah, I guess it's not always like a fear of the thing in the movie happening to you that follows you as a fear, a residual fear experience after a movie, right? Like there's very little chance of someone breaking into your house and heaving a screaming child from your stomach with a pair of fabric scissors at this juncture.
Yeah, it does seem unlikely.
Yeah, but you still had that feeling.
Just the idea that, like, I mean, we're drifting into spoilers a little bit here, so maybe we should take a break and come back and get right into it.
All right, let's take a break.
Whoa, holy shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
Oh, Sammy, am I back? Yes, I am. Are you back? Who knows?
You look back. You're unmistakably back. Yeah, I'm in the vicinity.
Cool. Before we talk spoilers, I just wanted to say that Red Scare Industries is a record label. They have a website. It's redscare.net. On that website, you can see tour dates. You can buy records. You can read the occasional artist bio. Some of
they're
them
updated.
don't have typos.
You can read updated bios. It's hard to imagine anyone going to a website nowadays. It's even harder to imagine them going to this website. But I'd like to encourage you to visit redscare.net because it's the hub of all Red Scare activities. You can go to people's Bandcamp from there and cha-ching, buy their music. You can buy merch. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. Links to videos. Wow. Websites with links to videos. We are living in the future 9000. So check it out, redscare.net.
Okay, so first things first, Sam. It does seem unlikely to me that someone will break into my home and try and cut a baby out of me. But somebody could be watching me sleep, stood over my bed, literally every night. And the idea of that is so terrifying.
Really? You don't like that?
No, I live alone. So it's not like, oh, cool, somebody's watching me sleep, watching over me. It's like, oh no.
Cool. I don't know. I have such a bizarre disposition about this kind of stuff. If I don't know it's happening, I don't give a fuck.
I think not knowing is even somehow scarier. Like,
isn't that interesting?
Like, it could be happening literally every night. It could be happening the second I close my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. So why'd you give a fuck? Your eyes are closed.
Because,
don't get me wrong. If I woke up and there was like a fucking circle of guys in deer masks all just whacking it into hankies around my bed, I would be worried quite a lot of the nights afterwards that was going to happen again. But because that's never happened, I'm not worried. I don't give a fuck. Whack away, dear men.
Whack away. Just wait till he's asleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just don't tell me about it if you can avoid it. Don't brag about it to anyone I know who might tell me.
All right, I won't. Okay, Sam.
Yeah.
Bold opening of a film, right? This film opens with a baby in a womb being smashed up, right?
Yeah.
It's bold for two reasons. One, unborn baby violence is, not something we get to see every day.
I think it's something that maybe doesn't have mass appeal
No.
in terms of content.
B, that terrible CGI baby is a terrible CGI baby, and it bugs me. It's my main criticism of the film, really, is how much time we spend with a bad CGI baby.
Are you clear this up for me? Are you saying it's objectively a bad CGI baby, or are you saying that you don't like the CGI baby? Do you think some people might think, "Wow, that looks fucking great"?
I mean, I think it looks like bad CGI, right? What do you not think it looks like a bad CGI baby?
I think it's one of, if not the worst thing I've ever seen.
In terms of the CGI.
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes. And
it
also,
looks like the
yeah.
dancing baby from Ally McBeal. Do you remember
I've
that
seen
whole...
that. I've seen clips of that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It looks like
That...
shit is what it looks like. It looks like if you found a baby in the video game Myst.
It's a rough thing.
It's bad baby.
And it's like, obviously we cut to the baby, the unborn fetus, every time Sarah's body gets rocked a little bit. So all the violence that's happening to her, like, we also feel it happening to this baby. But like, this baby looks like shit. So it kind of mutes that a little bit. It kind of takes some of the wind out of the baby mashing sales.
Yeah, I want my baby mashing to be so visceral I cringe. I don't want it softened by bad CGI.
Yeah.
Also, there was a video game, like a boxing video game on Xbox. I can't remember what it's called. It's probably just called Fight or something. And when you landed like a real crushing blow, it would zoom in and give you like an X-ray of what was happening in your opponent's body. So if you got like a rock solid body blow, it would show you the ribs breaking. If you'd like got a headshot, it would show you like contusions on the brain and shit. And that looked better than this. This was so piss poor.
Okay. Well, so we've talked around that and like obviously talked about a thing that we both didn't like.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know how you feel about the film as a whole. I know that like it's not necessarily a pleasant watch, but how did you find it sort of more generally?
Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. I don't want to be Donald Downer over here. But I think this was shite piled on garbage wrapped in turd. This was fucking shit house tomfoolery nonsense, and I didn't enjoy a second of it. I'm sorry to say.
That's wild.
Yeah. I tried, man. I tried so hard. I mean, listen, if you want to put old Sammy Russo off a movie, open with a CGI baby and go downhill from there. That's my advice.
But I don't think it goes downhill from there. I think everything that happens outside of the body is, pretty fucking horrible.
Yeah.
In a way that's on purpose. In a way that is, horrifying.
I think my main couldn't get on with the movie problem is that to me it all just felt pretty senseless. Like I've got a really high bar for gratuity in terms of all things, especially violence. But this just felt like a bunch of like devices strung together to go to horrible, gory places that had no like emotional pull on me whatsoever. I didn't feel even remotely invested in anyone in the movie, so I just saw it as like, oh, it's just watching like a butcher, and I didn't enjoy that really.
Even with the sort of twisty endy bit.
Well, I mean, I didn't fully I absolutely 100% a million miles away saw the main twist. There was one thing I didn't really understand that you probably have to explain to me. Why does that guy become a zombie?
Yeah, no, I don't understand that either.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay, so it is complete bullshit. The whole movie sucks. Yeah, no, that's absolute nonsense. I knew that woman was going to be the woman from the other car the second she showed up. Like, why the fuck else? Who the fuck else are you? We don't know anything else about this woman apart from this one detail. She was in a car crash and her husband died. Of course the other person's going to come and fucking mash her guts up with a knife.
But I mean, there is some dialogue that suggests that the people in the other car didn't survive. Everybody died.
Yeah, I think I just know when not to believe French people, and that instinct kicked in. and I ran with it. Yeah, I don't listen. The next hour is probably going to be somewhat rough in terms of the amount of heavy lifting you're going to have to do because I liked one thing about this movie. And I'm going to save that thing for when you run out of things to say. I thought this was utter dog shit. So I'm really keen to know why you like it and why in a million worlds you would put it in front of me of all people. It's just got nothing for me.
Really? You don't like the idea of like slicing babies out of French ladies? At
Nope.
Christmas, no less.
Yeah, there you go, bud. No. I mean, in theory, it's not something I'm not, clutching my pearls at the idea of a baby being fucking DIY cesarean out of a French lady on some stairs. That doesn't bother me in theory. It just has to be executed well, and there has to be something building up to it that makes me care that it's happening. Do you know what I mean? It's to me, it's only gratuitous if it just fucking happens to bodies. That's my only criticism of any movie ever, really, is if I don't give two shits about the things that are happening to the people. And sometimes the things that are happening are great in how horrible they are, and it gets a pass. But this, for me, just touched no human emotion whatsoever.
That's so wild to me. So I think that there are a number of things at play here that really work for me.
Yeah.
And like predominantly that's soundtrack score based.
Oh.
I love how like melancholic and sad the score is when horrible things are happening. It really like fucks with your emotion. It's like a thing where like in any other movie, in an American movie that was the same as this, for example, this would be like fuck yeah, angry, music. And the idea that we get like these really sort of melancholic, droning, like almost like a Charlie Clouser type score. I think that is so cool. And I mean, you made a noise that made me think that you hated that, but
Sorry, I did. It was involuntary because I have in my notes, this fucking score sucks. It's not, and again, like my notes are not to be taken. They're an emotional reaction to what's happening in the film in the moment. So what I had a major problem with, again, in the list of things that I absolutely detest in movies, is when you have jerky camera shots with scratchy noises and loud, like booming impact type sounds. I just absolutely check out the second that happens. And there was so much of that in this that it kind of ruined the overall atmosphere of the music for me, which I didn't think the music was, quote unquote shithouse or whatever I wrote in my notes. I just thought it wasn't doing the job for me that I think it was supposed to. Like you said, it's supposed to be like a beautiful artistic counterpoint to the I guess the visceral nature of the violence, but it wasn't doing that for me. It was just I had to turn this film down. I counted as in turn the volume down 7 times until I was basically watching it in silence.
oh dear.
Yeah, it wasn't. The audio wasn't working for me, bud. I just think when you do that, when you and zoom in and go all janky jonky and rumble seat the shit out of a shot, I'm out. Goodbye.
Where do you stand on like home invasion movies as a rule?
Uninspired for the most part. I think when someone does it really, really well, I'm almost amazed. For the most part, I find it such a limiting little genre that I think it's really difficult to do something that is really exciting. That being said, there are obviously some fucking great home invasion movies, and I think for a home invasion movie to work for me, it kind of has to slip into almost very self-aware cliche and basically be a slasher, which I know is lame. It's a lame thing to say. It's not very cinematic.
I mean, there is crossover there.
Yeah.
Like what are some of the home invasion movies that you dig?
I thought Your Next was quite good. What else is a good
I thought
home
you gave it
invasion movie?
a bad review in the episode.
Yeah, probably did. But compared to this, wow, tour de force. Give me some
How do you feel about
examples. I'll tell you what.
Strangers?
Fine, nonplussed. Good Raz.
Yeah, I like The Strangers because it's like it does a fun thing, and it's gratuitous, but in a way that is like super on purpose, and I like that.
I think if you're gonna get me with a home invasion movie, I quite like fucked up teens. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind any kind of home invasion enemy or antagonist, but I quite like a fucked up teen.
Hmm.
In the genre, you like a lot of home invasion movies based on my limited experience of talking to you on the podcast about them. For example, you enjoy The People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, that's not really a home invasion movie. The people
Oh,
under the stairs live in the home, right?
true, but it
Who's
does get invaded.
like the protagonists are doing the invading there. That's a
True.
I guess a what's the word? A subversion.
Would you class Cape Fear as a home invasion movie?
I don't know if I would, but I do like Cape Fear. Which, when you say Cape Fear, which is the version that pops into your brain? Scorsese or the original? Yeah.
Yeah, the original, yeah.
I have a very strong affection for the Scorsese remake with Robert De Niro as Max Cady.
It's really good. I like it.
I think it's sexually charged in a way that you get Robert De Niro and you make him really hot, and then you get Juliette Lewis, and she's Juliette Lewis.
Yeah, I think I like it the most of the two now that you mention it. I like it a lot.
And Nick Nolte's there. It's
love Nick Nolte.
it's a sexy little movie, I think, and it shouldn't be because there's an ominous threat of sexual assault hanging across the movie. So why is it so sexy? Who knows?
Yeah, we know why. Well, so what do you like then?
Home invasion movies, I think, I do like The Strangers quite a lot. I haven't seen any of the sequels or the new one or anything like that because I don't really care. There was some good, would you say that Bad Ronald is an exploitation movie? That's like a Hider in the House. What do they call that? Is it called frogging or something?
What are you talking about? I don't know the meaning of a single word you just said.
So there's a film called Bad Ronald, and it's about a guy who builds a compartment in a family home that he's not part of the family.
Right.
And that has a name. I think it might be called Frogging or something like that.
Frogging.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't called
serious?
Frogging when the movie came out.
I want to start frogging. I want to tell people my hobby is frogging and see if they know what it means. And then if they don't, I'll just pretend it's a sport. It's like badminton, but with a hard clay shoe.
Yeah,
See
it's
what they say.
it's like paddle.
Yeah,
It's like pickleball.
paddle. It's more
Yeah.
obscure than pickleball. You probably haven't heard of it. It's Icelandic.
Frogging. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure Frogging is the name of the thing. I don't know why it's called Frogging. It's spelled with a PH, apparently.
PH frogging.
Yeah.
This gets even better. Yeah, no, it's like you probably haven't heard of it. It's pretty obscure. It's like paddle, but it's frogging spelled with a PH, and it's played on small lily pad shaped platforms that you have to leap between. Also, I live in your house. You don't know I'm there.
Yeah, so I would say Black Christmas is a frogging movie, right?
Oh fuck yeah! In that case, that's my favorite home invasion movie of all time. I love that film.
Yeah, there's also Hider in the House, starring Gary Busey.
Okay.
That's
Is it a frogging classic? Here comes next on our Patreon, Jamie's top frogging list.
There aren't an unlimited supply of frogging movies,
It doesn't sound like there are.
but Bad Ronald is one of them, and I rate it. I don't know if it counts as home invasion. It's like a guy in your house who you don't want to be in your house.
Yeah, what if it's invasive behavior that isn't necessarily physical assault? Does that have a different name?
Yeah, that's called...
Ostrich feathering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we can just make this shit up, right? Someone has to name this shit.
Yeah.
Pick an obscure thing and name it. That's how this world works.
Yeah, no, it's even better if it's the same as the other thing, but you spell it differently.
Exactly. Yeah, ostrich.
It's called drinking, but you spell it DRYNCKYNG.
Yes, and that's different because
Drinking, the one that I just said, is when somebody breaks into the lobby of the building that you live in and rifles through the mailbox, but only takes the junk mail.
that's what drinking is.
Yeah.
I would do that right now because we get a lot of junk mail around here. And one of the junk mail I got the other day was a free cup of coffee at Greg's. And let me tell you,
Nice.
I would never in a million years spend any money at Greg's. But if you're giving me a free cup, I'm going.
I think you couldn't pay me to drink a coffee from Greg's. It's some of the worst coffee you will ever.
I had it today.
Frog.
It was inexplicably terrible.
Yeah.
It came out of a machine. So how can it be so bad? Surely the machine knows what it's doing.
Also, Greg's coffee is too hot until it's too cold.
Wow. You're 100% correct. How does it go from too hot to drink to just fucking tepid in the space of 3 seconds in a
It's
cup in
insane.
a car? That makes
Yeah.
no sense. That's what happened to me today, yeah.
Greg's coffee.
And other insights from the Final Transmission podcast.
Greg's coffee, not even once. That's that's the...
So, onto the subject of something even more obscure than the phenomenon of Greg's rapid calling coffee, the movie Inside and why you like it. So you told us the score tickles your tits. What else about the movie what else do you enjoy?
I mean, there are a number of things that I really dig that are
You like
going
French
on.
babes?
I do like French babes, and I love Beatrice Dahl. So this is a pretty intense role for her. Obviously, she's most well known as being Betty Blue in the movie Betty Blue, which is like one of those French movies that really transcended and moved out of the country and into sort of worldwide cinema bro lexicon, sort of like a proto Amelie type thing.
What's a cinema bro?
Like, you know, like imagine Quentin Tarantino, but he likes, you know, the Tricolor trilogy, like Krzysztof Kieslowski movies or whatever.
Are we allowed to like Tarantino?
Yeah, you can like him. You just, you know, just don't try and talk like him.
I think he's cool.
I think he's cool too. I think, like, I'm of an age where working in a video shop and amassing knowledge of cinema and movies through just consumption rather than, like, you know, going to fucking hoity-toity film school or whatever. It's a much more accessible way to you know, learn how to make movies. And, like, yeah, all the stuff that he does is, like, fairly derivative of stuff that most people haven't heard of. But if I made a film, it would be like that too. So
Isn't that everything? That's everything. I only know... Yeah, it's going to astonish you to learn that I don't know anyone in this movie, except I do know Beatrice Dahl inadvertently from Night on Earth, and that's it. Which is Jim Jarmusch, which is about as artsy as I can pretend to be. Like, I like a lot of art house cinema, but I can competently say I think I've seen everything Jim Jarmusch has ever made, and I like it all.
Yeah, Jim Jarmusch is like the sort of knowing and affected David Lynch, I think.
He's like the Tom Petty to David Lynch's Bob Dylan. No, that makes no sense. He's... what is he?
Well, they were in the Travelling Wilburys together.
Yeah, exactly. He's more fun in a way. No, he's not. No, he's less fun. I don't know.
I think they're two sides of a coin. Two sides of a D20, I think, maybe.
That's a troubling relationship to pin down.
Well, all right. Think of it this way. They both have grey hair and a weird hairdo. How about that?
Nailed it. I've got it. Jarmusch likes French babes. Lynch likes Italian babes.
It'd be better if it was like Jarmusch likes French babes, Lynch likes bench frames, but that's not a thing. So
Bench frames. It's are they
it
buds?
would work better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think they're probably they're pals.
they pal around.
They're like,
I can't imagine
I
them
think maybe
palling
they-
around.
no. But I can't really imagine David Lynch palling around with anyone. Especially
Yeah,
not since, you know, Harry Dean Stanton died. Did Harry Dean Stanton die? I'm pretty sure he did,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah, he died.
They're like the only two people I can imagine hanging out.
Yeah.
What about Wim Wenders? Do you ever get... That's pretty art house. Do you like any Wim Wenders
Oh yeah,
movies?
I love Wim Wenders. Yeah, but again, like these are all the same guy. Like I realized I like that kind of film, and then I watched all those kind of guys. Do you know what I mean? And then I
Yeah.
never veered into the French extremist movement or whatever the fuck we're talking about because it had nothing for me. I just knew I liked being a bit sad and somber and seeing some surreal stuff, and I had a high tolerance for that kind of bullshit.
Maybe if we ever have a non-horror month. Have you seen Wings of Desire?
Nope.
Maybe we will do Wings of Desire if we do like a non-horror month.
Okay.
And that's a solid Wim Wenders movie. Is being like a film nerd the difference between saying Wim Wenders and Wim Wenders?
Could be. I'm not sure I've ever said it out loud, so I don't know what I would have said if you hadn't said it first.
I think I said Wim Wenders until far too recently.
Really? I think I would have gone with the instinctive idea that nobody in the world would be called Wim.
Yeah. Who's your favourite porn director? Mine's Wenders.
Quentin. I don't want to make this all about me, but the fucking writing's on the wall, bud. CGI babies, jerky camera movements with stabby sounds, inexplicable zombie moments that have fuck all to do with anything, gratuitous violence to characters we have no investment in whatsoever.
So I have investment in Sarah.
Really? Why?
Because, she's gone through all of this heartache. I think the film does a decent job of putting you on her side until the moment that it takes you off her side.
I just think her husband dies in a car crash, and she's
nobody
very
cares
sad about it. Yeah, because we're not given any opportunity to care. We're not given any kind of life there. We meet both her mother, her employer, her friend, and none of that generates any kind of warmth or empathy for me, really. It's all in the performance as far as I'm concerned. They just don't do enough to make me give a fuck about this lady.
But that's the point, is that they don't really
She's
care.
lonely.
She's completely isolated by this thing that's happened to her.
Yeah.
And there's nobody really can comprehend what she's going through, so they just don't.
Yeah, but she's not likable enough for me to give a fuck about her plight in that scenario, unfortunately. I don't know, she doesn't have the thing that makes me see her as a human. And part of it is because the CGI baby dehumanizes her whole issue. If I see pretendy baby in your belly, I don't believe your pretendy performance. You're getting fucked by the animator, basically. Also, when it's revealed, spoiler alert, everyone, the big twist, when it's revealed that the main antagonist of the movie, your gal La Femme, lost a baby in that car crash, I fucking
and the
knew
baby
it.
that we see in the opening is her baby dying.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, not only is that CGI baby shit, it's too fucking big.
I mean, I don't know how big a CGI baby should be.
At 5 months, not that big. So I knew it wasn't hers.
Yeah, well, we don't know how far along La Femme was.
Don't we know it's... Yeah, exactly. But we know enough to know...
We know that it's... Yeah.
That it's not Sarah's belly box. Shoddy, slapdick, inattentive.
A thing that I really like, that I thought maybe that you would like, is how shitty the cops are.
I thought the cops were cool.
They're literally given a photo of the assailant, and they're like, don't know what you want me to do with that. I'll just give it back to you. It's a photo of the person that is trying to break into this woman's house on Christmas Eve, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a little bit grainy, so this is useless to me.
Yeah,
I thought you would eat that shit up, Sam.
It was a shit picture. I'm sorry, but the cops... Listen, I'm not going to say this often, especially not on this podcast, but in defense of the cops, two things. Crap picture. Second thing...
I mean, you could clearly see her face.
Second thing, it is Christmas Eve, okay? They don't want to be there. Give them a break. She seems mental.
Women can die on Christmas Eve because otherwise the cops will, might miss out on their little stockings.
Would you have seen a threat?
She took a photo of a woman standing at the window, staring in at her. It's
Could've
not.
been anything,
They're like,
mate.
oh, she's gone now. What happens after she's gone?
Cops can't do anything about there was a woman there. Do you know what I mean? They check back in. They do everything they can. They take their suspect in with them. They do everything right. They die.
They come back. It's different cops, which is annoying that the different cops come back. Because they meet La Femme at the door.
Helps the plot though, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does help the plot. It gives us more people to die.
Yeah.
But I thought that you would enjoy the shitness of the cops. Especially the secondary cops that come back, where they're they bring a criminal into the house.
I love that.
What is happening? Why would you do that? I love it.
But again, I enjoy that. If you told me, if we were at the pub and you were like, so you wouldn't believe what these fucking dumbass cops do. They bring the guy they just arrested in to this crime house. They just bring him in. I'd be like, that sounds hilarious. But because they're just so boring, they're so vanilla and nothingy, there's nothing to hang your hat on about these cops whatsoever. So you just immediately know, more grist. They're just going to get somehow one-upped, overcome, stabbed up. So you don't buy into them, really. And that's what happens.
Yeah, I think it's funny that, they spend 45 minutes trying to turn the lights back on instead of just getting the fuck out of the house.
Yeah, there's so many bad, completely illogical decisions like that in the whole film that, again, like I can't buy into it as dumb, hilarious, Evil Dead, poor decision making. It doesn't. If you're they're so serious, and everything's so serious in this film that you expect some serious decision making, like you expect some human logic, and you don't get it. So it's tonally off balance for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think like some of that is tricky. I think like that a lot of it does do interesting stuff, but some of those decisions are pretty egregious.
Yeah, yeah. I need to keep reminding you that for no reason a guy turns into a zombie in this film, and it's never addressed. I just need to keep bringing that back up, just so you're aware.
Yeah, I think what happens is that like part of his brain gets mashed up, so like he has motor functions, but it doesn't really make sense though. But that's the thing.
But they make him a ghost. They give him the black hollowed out eyes. They know what they're doing. They ghost him up.
Tell you what I do. Another thing that I do like is I really like a good kill your mate by accident moment, and the moment where she kills her mum is, I think, phenomenal.
The blood spurt was good because it was constant. I enjoyed that.
It was very
the
Japanese, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. The vomit in the dream and the blood spurt, I took my hat off to. But I saw it coming, dude. As soon as the mum showed up, I was like, you're going to get killed. It's just whether you get stabbed or pushed down the stairs. Like,
yeah,
it's one or the other. It's coming. And again, we don't give a fuck about the mum enough to care. And we don't give a fuck about her enough.
It is telegraphed in a way that it's like, oh my God, they're going to kill her. Oh my God, she's going to kill her. Oh my God, she's going to kill her. Oh my God, she's killed her. I think that sort of telegraphing works for me. It's not like it's not like it's like, oh God, they're going to kill her. Great stuff. It's like, oh, we know this is coming. We know this is coming. Oh, it's happened.
Yeah, it felt like a moment. It felt like a moment in the movie, like a little statement moment. This is what you're going to get for the next X amount of time. It did feel like that. But I didn't give two fucks. My favorite, the two things I really like about this movie, three actually. The vomiting, I thought was excellent. Was that a little mouth pump?
I wanted to ask like how that rated on the Final Transmission vomitometer.
It's not top vom, but it's good vom because they could have CGI'd it. They've already shown they have the capabilities, they have the technology. They could have, but they didn't. They practical effected it, and it looked like they did it with an inside the mouth pump potentially. Do you think?
Yeah, potentially. I think it looks really good. The milkiness of it really makes me out a little bit, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's no reason for her to be puking pints and pints of milk. Great.
Now, is that a pregnant thing? I mean, I'm not a gynecologist, but like,
is sure? That not even an amateur?
No. Is it meant to be like, you know, you express milk when you're having a baby? Is she just expressing milk orally rather than
from her guts?
rather than boobily?
Could be. I kind of assumed cynically that if you're going to pump something out of something very viscous and very watery as puke, you don't have a lot of choices, I guess, in terms of what color it is. It might as well be milky white.
Yeah. It could have been pure sweet corn. Like I would have bought that too.
Just creamed corn vom.
Yeah.
Jaune homme solitaire. Yeah, so that was good vom. Fine. Decent. But again, it's not always about the vom. Sometimes it's about the placement, and its placement within this movie, wasted vom.
Go on, what were the other two things that you liked?
The stream of blood from the mum's neck, I thought was very nice.
Yeah.
But the main thing, the big whammy for me, the thing that I enjoyed. No, hated that. Really hated that. Wrote down in my notes, kill a cat, why don't you? Cool. That's my exact notes.
Yeah, it's like a couple of cat owners. Like, it's rare. Like, we've seen a lot of dogs die.
Oh, yeah.
For this podcast, but we've never seen a cat die.
Yep. I mean, I would hate to rank one above the other in terms of, how much it sucks. But what I will say
dogs,
is...
So...
But just wholly unnecessary, does nothing for the movie except make you go, oh, no. And
that cat is great as well. Like, that cat is the most enigmatic and enjoyable thing that we get on the screen. Like it's a little glimmer of light in a very, very bleak movie. And
It's
then
the only,
gets,
it's the only performer in the movie with an even slightly realistic personality. Like, it's it does cat things for a couple of seconds. But
yeah.
my big thing that I really enjoyed was the cop having his head blown partially off from behind. I thought that looked really good.
I like that because they linger on that effect. I think maybe a hair too long, so you get to really look at it and see the detail in the prosthetic and stuff.
Yeah,
And I think that's really cool.
you
And
kind of
like
look him in the eye.
it's long enough that you know that it's obviously fake. Like it's not like, oh god, they've really shot a guy in the head or whatever. Which like, you know, in Martyrs, it could be like, oh yeah, they really skinned a broad. But like,
Yeah.
so like you know,
Martyrs. I never thought I'd pine for Martyrs.
but yeah, it's so violent and like it just lingers, and I think that it's cool that it lingers because it gives you a chance. It almost gives you a breath to be like, okay, it's not real. It's
Yeah, and
not really real.
It's a commitment to an effect that I admire, because what it does is it kind of transcends all idea of even attempting realism. Because when someone gets their fucking face blown off from behind, they don't stay in the exact same position for a few seconds and then fall forward. So
Yeah.
they lean into the the complete lack of logic and physics with it, and it works in that instance. Again, a cool prosthetic and a fun effect. Oh my god, my notes. There's a period in this movie where my notes are nah, followed by hate it. Oh, and no, bad.
So going back to the score, I don't think that there's loads of like shaky cam moments. I think
3 or 4.
90% of the score is like beautiful, melancholic electronica, the sort of electronica that I would listen to outside of a cinematic context.
Mm.
And like, I think it's a weird choice, and it makes you feel weird things when you're experiencing it in tandem with the visuals. But I also think like most scores are sort of subtle, and they play in the background, and they influence your emotions subtly through vague things, vague like movements in mood and tempo, but they're sort of way low in the mix. Whereas I think the score here is basically a character in the movie. Like it's so high in the mix, and it's so front and center. Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, I think that's why I kept turning it down. I just couldn't stand it. It was so punishing. I'm starting to wonder if I know what I'm talking about, because you're talking about it like it's so artful and beautiful and well placed and such a wonderful juxtaposition. I thought it was just fucking ham and eggs. I don't even know what that means.
Did you like the aerosol, the lighter fire
I hated
thing?
it, bud. I couldn't fucking stand it. I thought it looked abysmal, every second of it. And actually, that's one point where I did a little 10-second skip back a couple of times just to make sure I wasn't being judgmental. It looked like shit. But her face afterwards, I thought was cool. I thought it was great that they leaned into the fact she was, horrendously deformed for the rest of the movie. It was cool to see a good facial prosthetic used well and lit well.
Yeah, like I think that the aerosol shot is pretty bad, but in a way that speaks to me, in a way that I enjoy.
No, yeah, sure. Like, but why?
No, I enjoy it, Sam.
Yeah, no, I know.
Saying it in a way-
But what I'm trying to, I'm picturing the shot where you look down the cone of flame from the aerosol and it looks like a Windows screensaver, and I'm wondering why you liked it. I don't get it.
I just think it's kind of silly, and I think like the silliness of it sells it to me. It feels like an almost practical effect. It almost feels like there's a dummy that they've positioned as if it's La Femme, and they're blazing it with a lighter and an aerosol can.
Which I have no idea why they didn't do that. A prosthetic head, a mask, a flame retardant balaclava device of some kind. Easy. Touch it up a little bit in post, job done. But they don't. They do this like try hard nonsense CG that doesn't work, and it blows. It blows the chode of the goat, as they say on the streets. And
I don't know if they say that.
yeah, they say it. And Also, but I hated that as well because it's such. If you've ever been sprayed in the face with an aerosol flame, which, dear listener, I hope you haven't. But speaking from experience, it's not that bad. It doesn't fuck you. And if you're dumb enough to keep your head in place while it happens for that long, you deserve to be a bit melty. But it's a light kind of flame. It's a kind of playful, fun little flame that might take your eyebrows off, but it doesn't fuck you up too bad. And I just found that hard to believe.
Okay, so what do you think that this movie is about? Like, what do you think that they're trying to say?
I'm trying not to be really cynical, but I just think it's not about anything. It's just an idea that someone had that was passable as a movie plot. We got this twist where it turns out the woman involved in the car crash has come back for revenge. It's a fun reveal. What can we do that's crazy as fuck? Cut her belly open, have a home invasion plot, stab someone in the neck, puke up some milk, bunch of gross shit from A to B, job done. I cannot give it the credence to even consider for a second that it's about anything deeper. And if it's got some maternal, some deep maternal thematic threads running through it that I missed, I don't give a fuck because it was poo. But I really want you to tell me what you think.
So you don't think it's about how isolating modern society is for the most vulnerable people in society?
No, I think that's true, what you just said, but I don't think this film's about that at all, even remotely. But I'm curious to hear why you think it is.
Well, like, she's literally a pregnant woman that lost her husband months ago, like a few months ago, and is very clearly in poor mental health, and she is completely abandoned by the people that love her, or the people that are meant to love her. Not completely.
Her mum is very present.
She's not that present. She's like, I'll see you tomorrow. It's Christmas Eve. You and your baby and your dead husband go home, and I'll see you tomorrow. I think a cool thing that happens is that, like, a cool thing that happens is that we get a couple of like outs. We get a couple of like deadlines for the movie. Like her boss is like, "I will come and get you at 6 a.m."
Yeah.
And so you're
just
thinking
survive
like
till 6 a.m. sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but then he rocks up at 8:30 and gets stabbed in the head. So like there are no outs after that. It's that everything is fair game, and I think that's a fun device.
Yeah, I take that as a thing. Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what though, for my money, the Christmas movie, the movie that's set at Christmas, that really hammers home the idea of the isolation of modern society and the distance put between people, and how Christmas is a time to be the person you want to be all year round, even if only for one day. Is the movie Scrooged?
Yeah, you're literally doing the speech from the end of Scrooged,
which is one of my all-time favorite movie speeches. And if you're going to do it right. Have a homeless guy freeze to death in a fucking drain and make us cry. Don't do it by cutting babies out of bodies. It doesn't work.
I think Scrooged is gratuitous.
It is. It's scary as fuck.
But I don't think it's scary as fuck. I think it's gratuitous. I think, watching Bobcat Goldthwait freeze to death in a gutter, that's not like a fun thing. Like, he literally put him there.
But he doesn't freeze to death. It's the other guy that freezes to death.
Oh, Bobcat, it is? Yeah, you're right.
Bobcat comes good. Bobcat kind of saves the day.
Well, yeah. Bobcat's great.
We love Bobcat.
We do.
If Bobcat had been in this movie, speaking French and running around, maybe he's like a Poirot detective, it would have elevated the material significantly.
Do you know when I lost my innocence, Sam?
Ooh. I mean, is this podcast appropriate, Jamie?
Well, all right. Do you know the time that I'm thinking of at the moment?
Go on.
Is when I realised that Bobcat Goldthwait didn't really talk like
that. Yeah, that is a real death of a dream moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a crying shame.
It is a shame. Same with Gilbert Gottfried.
First see him in, do you think?
Police Academy 3? Citizens 4? Citizens on Patrol? Whichever one it was.
Yeah.
He's the baddie in Police Academy 3, and then he's a cop in Police Academy 4, but he's the same character.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
So that's the thing that I remember him from first.
Yeah, and the good news is I'm not just saying this movie sucks from a Christmas movie perspective, right? I don't think that's fair. I don't think
is that the good thing?
Yeah, this doesn't qualify for me just because it happened at Christmas.
What about? Do you think this movie is about like how fragile the notion of your home as a sanctuary actually is. Like the idea that like you think that you're safe in a place, but like you're never really safe. If somebody wants to come and get you, they're coming in.
Yeah, I mean that's the nub of a home invasion movie's appeal slash, horrific center point, isn't it? That's the whole idea of home invasion. As a theme, yeah, I like that, but it's not meaty or substantial enough for me to carry an entire movie if the rest of the movie is just gratuitous. So I like to really understand the dynamics of the home environment in order to really be threatened by the invasion element.
What about the reduction of a pregnant person's identity from a human with actual agency to a literal baby carrying machine?
I don't think that's a thing. Is that a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a thing, and it's a thing in this movie, I think.
What, when you get pregnant, you just become an incubator?
Well, you become a public property. I think some people think of women only in reproductive terms. And,
like cattle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they think of it like cattle, but I think that there are people that think that a woman is an ovary or two with a person attached to it.
Is that happening in this movie, or is pregnancy just a thing to be gross with? I just don't think that's happening. No one... What, you think she's dehumanized by her pregnancy? I think her pregnancy in this movie is the only thing that gives her any kind of vital humanity. It's the only thing she's got to live for. It's the last remains and vestige of her husband. It's the focus of the aggression of the aggressor.
But it's the aggressor is like, I don't care that you're a person with a dead husband and a life and all of this stuff that you should have. Like you've got a baby and I want that baby. Like I also think that there's a read in this that's about like how society believes that they own you when you're pregnant, and how like I think there's a what's the word, a trope in real life, do we call those tropes? I don't know, where strangers will touch your belly if you're pregnant. I mean, I've never been pregnant, and I've never met anyone that's ever been pregnant, but that's not true. But I bet my mum.
Briefly.
Yeah. We high-fived on the way out, and I didn't see her. I've never seen her since.
Slip sliding away. No, I get that. I understand that bizarre invasive phenomenon in real life. Hopefully a thing that's, slowly fading. But I don't see it in this movie. No one touches this lady's belly apart from with a huge pair of scissors.
Yeah, well, like that's touching somebody's belly. It's like it's the most
thing
aggressive form of that type of touch, right? The unwanted touch that of the belly. Like it's the most aggressive version of it.
That's not what's happening here. She killed her baby. She's come for her baby. She wants her baby, so she's come to get a baby.
Yeah, but
she's
until
not touching it on the bus and going, "Oh, how far along are you?" She's fucking cutting it out of her guts.
Yeah, but until we know that, like that's meant to be like the gut punch at the end, which might kill a baby. But that's meant to be like the thing that makes everything before it make sense. But everything before it, we still have to have feelings about that, or we're supposed to. And I think we're meant to be talking about like how the body or the society as a whole feels entitled to you and your body when you're pregnant.
She's just trying to kill her though. For that part of the movie, we don't know anything else is happening. We just think she's trying to get her dead.
Well, no, because they have a conversation fairly early on when she's like, "Why me?" and she's like, "I want your baby."
Oh right, yeah, sure. At that point, you go right. Well, she wants the baby, but that doesn't change what's happening for me because it's just violence. It's not. There's no subtle messaging there. It's just violence on violence to get the baby.
Yeah, I don't think there's subtle messaging, but I do think that there's stuff going on that is.
This is maybe the only time in the Final Transmission podcast I'm going to accuse you of attributing lofty meaning to a fucking artless pile. I don't think that's happening in this film. Because if it is, they're just doing it so fucking badly. Like, make a different movie if that's your message. Or telegraph it. Like, don't hide it so deep it's absolutely invisible. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't think it's invisible. I think it's right there.
Nah. But why do it with violence then? Why not at least have some kind of like transitional scene where she's maybe she is on a bus and this foreshadowing creepy lady that she thinks she doesn't know touches her belly and says, "Oh, look, a baby. When's your due date?" And she goes, "Oh, please don't touch my belly. That's invasive." And then later on, she comes to the house and fucking. You can say it's about anything, dude. At this point, you can say it's about literally anything, and it isn't. I think it's just a gory smash fest with a CGI baby getting battered around and a zombie out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like, imagine how much better this movie would be if the CGI baby wasn't so shit. If it wasn't CGI, like, you could quite easily make a baby prosthetic, like a baby effect, and put it in a little, like, think about the scene in Inner Space where, spoiler alert for fucking Inner Space, but when Dennis Quaid's character travels outside of Martin Short and into Meg Ryan or whoever the fuck it is, and she's pregnant, and he's like floating around the unborn baby inside her. And also those opening scenes of both Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking Too, where the unborn baby in all of these movies looks like how I would imagine an unborn baby would really look inside a person's body.
I take your point. Yes, that would improve the movie, but so would a lot of things. My main problem here is in those movies, you want to see that baby because it's fun. Basically, those movies are fun, and you're not losing any of the fun by seeing that baby. In this movie, there is nothing fun about seeing the baby, and you do not need it at all because, in my opinion, the scary thing happening here is the not knowing what's going on with the baby. When you see, damage to the abdominal area of a woman carrying a child, it's horribly traumatic as a viewing experience. So you don't need to then go and zoom in and see the baby going, "Oh, ouch," inside the fucking womb box. You don't need that.
I know what you mean, but I think...
Act it. Just act.
No, I disagree, because I think, like, one harsh jab to the stomach and we would all assume that the baby is dead.
As we should in this movie, really, because too much shit happens to that baby's noggin. Holy crap. That's one dented spud. But that's where we should be. It should be a mystery. We shouldn't have like a little health bar for the baby and a fucking cutscene every time anything goes near the belly. It's absolutely asinine, and it's so artless. It's disgustingly dumb.
I think that there's value there, but I think it is done. It could have been done a lot better. I think, like, all this stuff's happening because we know how resilient bodies are, right? You could basically
worried about
jump
where
off
this is going.
You know that, like, the body can withstand quite a lot.
Sure.
So the idea that, like, as viewers, we would all just assume that the baby was dead instantly. Like, the first scissor to the belly button, that moment.
Well, no, that's when I know the baby's alive, like, for my money, because she's still, she's getting it out of there, and it's getting cesareaned.
No, like, way in the beginning when she, like, initially jabs her in the belly with the scissors.
Right, sure. Okay, yeah.
Like, you're like, okay, well, the baby's dead, but then we see the baby and the baby's not dead. I think it's a really interesting way to, A, connect you further with the baby that's inside her, and B, show you give you the stakes and, like, okay, the baby isn't dead yet, but like, a few more of these and who knows what's going to happen. I just wish it was better achieved.
Yeah, it's funny because I just think I'm glad you said it from the top that the CGI is bad because it's objectively poor visually, and it even was for the time, I think. But I just think it's a terrible idea as well. I think it's cool that you think it's a good idea because you have more. I think you're being a lot more generous with the whole idea of this baby having its own scenes. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but she could put her hand there and we could hear a baby's heartbeat in the score or something. Do you know what I mean? There's a million and one ways to do it without being so hamstrung by the idea of a literal visual of a living baby inside a body that you feel like you got to hire someone to make that happen. It just blows chunks.
Yeah, like I say, I think there's a way of doing it that is better.
Yeah.
But as a concept, as an idea, I don't think it isn't. I don't think it's without merit.
Maybe we'll see it done in a movie one day, and I'll eat my words and my hat and the placenta.
Yeah. So this will be my last point, and then we'll go to break, and then we'll come back and you can give it 1 out of 10 or whatever. Like, I think the point and the reason that I'm looking for this subtext is that I know that that's what fuels the new French Extremity movement. We're all about using horrible violence as a sort of a starting point, as a discussion point to discuss deeper things. So because this film exists as part of that movement, we know that somewhere inside it, someone is trying to say something. And that's why I think I'm able to find at least the things that I've dug out of it. And like, I don't think, they're massively obvious, but I do think that they are there.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, then I think this movie's benefiting from its place in that movement more than the other way around.
All right, let's take a break, Sam. We'll come back and we'll finish ourselves off.
Okay.
Will you give it up, man? Nobody's out there. We're alone. Oh no, there's somebody out there. I'm picking up all this crosstalk.
What a break. Cool. I stretched out. What about you?
I'm super stretched, ready to go. Did you know, Sam, that this movie has 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb?
I did know that, and that's really close to what Martyrs has, I believe, 7?
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd. Tells you everything you need to know about IMDb.
Almost 20% of the ratings attributed to this on IMDb are 9 or 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I did have a little look at some reviews. It's reviewed really well, not just on IMDb, but more broadly. People credit it as being, like you said, a pivotal piece in this movement.
Yeah, almost 60% of people rated it 7 out of 10 or above.
Yeah, that's absurd.
So all I'm trying to say, Sam, is that you're, for the first time in your life, a minority.
Dude, you have no idea how we albinos live in society, okay? So keep your bullshit to yourself. The IMDb is so wrong, not just about this, but more broadly, that it hurts. It's like you saying, well, it's number 1 in the charts, it must be good. Like, it's such a fucking stupid way to, judge how good a movie is.
I think I'd probably give it 7 out of 11.
Oh, nice. Good franchise. 7 out of 11. Yeah. It's very high.
7 out of 10. I think it's a 6.5. Like, I know that that's basically the IMDb score, but I do think it's about a 6.5.
Yeah. Is there a significant obstacle to rating it the 6.7 that IMDb's given it? What's holding you back from that 0.2?
You lose 3.5 points for the bad CGI baby.
Wow. What a fucking business crucial decision error that is.
Yeah. Like, I like almost everything else that happens in the movie. It's bleak, it's unrelenting, like the violence feels real, it feels horrible. There's a scene that I absolutely love where Sarah is in the bathroom and the bathroom is white, her skin is like white, her dress is white, everything is completely white. So like there are these little bits of definition and then just like blood. And it looks so intense and so incredible. Like the contrast and the beauty of it, the beauty and the violence in that moment is incredible. And then it cuts to a CGI baby and I'm like, oh, well, fuck you. Like, do you know what I mean? And like...
Yeah, you nailed it.
And like it permeates the rest of the movie. Like anytime something horrible is happening, your brain is like, that CGI baby is in there. Like he could pop out at any time, and like obviously when he does come out, he's not CGI. He's a little wobbly nugget. Like just use that.
Yeah, use that wobbly nug. But they don't. They don't use what they have.
Yeah.
God, losing 3.5 to one CGI decision is wow. That's a fuck up.
If it was just the shot at the beginning as well, then I might feel differently about it. But we keep coming back to it, and like I say, I rate it as a concept. So it annoys me even more that it's so badly done.
I even hate when a movie has bad CG credits. Do you remember for a long time there was that fad of having like these shockingly shite CG zoom journeys through a fucking bloodstream or into an atom or whatever. I was out the second they did that. If I was in the cinema, I'd be like digging my nails into the arms of the chair and looking into the top left-hand corner of the room away from the screen, waiting for it to be over. I hate it that much. So, yeah, this movie was never going to fucking win for me.
Yeah, I think, like I say, if it had happened that one time and never come back, it'd have been okay.
You get over it like you get over the credits, yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that we keep going back to it, it's the elephant, the dead baby elephant in the room.
L'éléphant.
Like,
that's not elephant in French.
No, Baba.
Baba. Yeah, it's bullshit, isn't it? I'm going to give this movie 0.5 inexplicable zombies out of 10. It's shite. I hate it. I hate this film. It's probably I don't think it's the worst movie that we've done on the Final Transmission podcast, but it's quite possibly my least favorite, which is a staggering feat of French cinema. It's all preference based. Like, obviously, as you've said, everyone thinks this is great. It seems to have some kind of, princess level throne status in the French smash everything up with a knife movement. And that's great. But for me, it just does all the things I hate, and it does them poorly. So for that reason, it's going in the fucking bin, and it's getting stamped down with the rest of the bullshit. It's not for me.
Does this mean that you hate the French more than the Italians now?
Never.
Okay.
This feels like an American movie is the other thing that pisses me off. Like, be more French. Lean into your Frenchness.
Yeah,
rather than trying to be an
There are no
American
baguettes.
slasher.
Nobody's wearing a string of garlic around their neck.
Baguette count 0.
Yeah, nobody's riding a bike with a stripy top. Like,
shocking. Yeah, it's not authentic.
Guys.
There's no authenticity in this.
Nobody's wearing a red beret.
Not for me. Probably for lots of other people, and I expect buckets of hate mail, by the way, if you're listening to the Final Transmission podcast or even watching it. Wow. Then hit a thumbs up, rate and review, tell me how wrong I am, and firmly inform your friends that this film is a tour de force of cinematic masterpiece, so that they come to the Final Transmission podcast and get really angry with me.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you about how wrong Sam is.
Yep.
If you
follow
think
me on
Sam's
Instagram
right,
and tell me.
Yeah, if you think Sam's right, keep it to yourself. But if you think he's wrong, then get in touch.
Be vocal.
Follow us at FT Horror Show on TikTok, on Instagram, and also now on Blue Sky.
What an interesting turn of events.
Yeah. It's Twitter, but for, people that don't hate themselves. For now. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, see how much we hate ourselves in a week.
Make sure you're subscribed to wherever you're listening to this. Make sure that you have automatic downloads turned on. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a little comment, hit the bell. If you're listening to this on audio platforms, just write a review. We're bringing the Patreon back, and on the Patreon, you're going to be able to watch the recordings, unedited mostly, of us, doing this stuff. Well, I mean, I'm going to edit when I go for a toilet break and stuff. But, for the most part,
I think you should take the webcam with you. I think you should do full-on POV dumps.
Unfortunately, the webcam is attached to the monitor.
Okay, well, for the sake of the Patreon, I'll be going to the toilet now. Let's go.